So with the Sunday games over for week 7, we are here for the good, bad, and player of the week. Now, this Sunday there wasn't very many games. I think there was only like 11 total, and then if we include the Thursday night, there was only 12, and then there was like total this week there's 13 including Monday Night Football. There wasn't very many games this week, but hey, for what it was, I was still able to come up with a list of everything, even though I really struggled to come up with a list, I'm not gonna lie. So we'll start with the bad. The first thing I have listed is the Washington kicker. That he kicked a field goal, and if I didn't see this when I was watching Red Zone or anything. I just thought he missed it. He kicked the ball on a field goal attempt, and it just went straight to the ground and bounced. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I've never seen that before. I thought he just missed it or dinked it. I guess I didn't realize that it actually hit the ground. So, yeah, that was a really, really bad kick. I think his last name was Blewett, and, well, he blew it. The next thing I have listed is the Bears. They played terrible football. They had turnover after turnover. That just gave the Buccaneers a short field every drive. Literally, I think like 4 of their scoring drives for Tampa all started in Bears territory. It may not have been 4, but it felt like a lot of almost every drive felt like the Buccaneers were starting in Bears territory because the Bears kept turning the ball over. It was bad. The Bears played awful. I don't think Justin Fields ready. Maybe Matt Nagy was right because Justin Fields has not played well at all this year. And Sunday didn't change anything. It was bad. Justin Fields, I don't think is ready. The Bears aren't ready to compete. It's a really bad football team. It's very, very bad to watch the Bears play football. The Chiefs are terrible. That game was bad. Mahomes has thrown an interception in 6 straight games. The defense is completely atrocious. The offensive line couldn't protect Mahomes. It was an awful, awful game. I mean, there was the only positive thing that the Chiefs did that entire game, as we'll get it, is they held him to 86 yards. But come on, the Chiefs are so bad right now. They are not competing for anything right now. They've got to clean up their turnovers. They got to clean up the offensive line. They can't generate a pass rush. They can't, defend the run. They can't, defend the pass. The Chiefs are a really bad football team. They're really, really bad. I think the Falcons honestly could beat them right now. Like, that's how bad the Chiefs are. It was awful to watch. It sucked to watch. And yeah, the Chiefs are just bad. They did not play well at all. On a Sunday Night Football game, Carson Wentz had what I thought was an interception at first, but it was a fumble. But it was actually just a fumble where he tries to shovel it, and then it was intercepted, fumbled, whatever. I mean, but that's the second time he's done it this year on a shovel pass where he's turned the ball over, even though technically it wasn't a shovel pass. It was just like it was a fumble, I guess. I thought it was an interception, but I guess they ruled it as a fumble. So he only has 1 interception this year. Lucky for him. But yeah, that was atrocious. That was awful to watch. But I mean, for the way Wentz played in that game, that was honestly the worst thing he did all game. For the weather. And we might as well get into it. The weather on Sunday Night Football was terrible. So the fact that was kind of the worst thing that Wentz did all game is kind of impressive on it. That weather was bad. That was some terrible weather in San Francisco yesterday. Another thing was the Falcons almost losing when they had a 27-14 lead. At one point, the Dolphins were able to get the lead back to 28-27, and then the Falcons won on the last-second field goal. But I thought the Falcons were about to Falcons that game and choke it away. But I guess, their kicker saved them from that. And, the Dolphins are not very good. But as you'll get in my recap, you'll see that I'm actually a fan of Tua. And then the last thing I have listed here is that quarterback rule where they give themselves up. That kind of took away a touchdown from Taylor Heineke. Now, it's not defending the Washington team. I mean, it wasn't going to change the outcome of the game because they played really, really bad. But I don't like the rule, I get it, it's for player safety. We don't want, defenders lunging at a quarterback. But, I feel like if when it comes to the end zone, if it's in the field of play and it's not going to score a touchdown, I think that's fair, get them down. Because obviously they're going to give themselves up. But when it comes to a touchdown, I think that rule needs to be changed because I did not like that. I'm honestly not a fan of that. And then there was another thing. Yeah, Sam Darnold is playing so bad right now that he got benched for an XFL quarterback. So that's an awesome thing to see. Let's move on to the good that I saw this week. The Bengals, man, that was a very impressive win. Burrow and Jamar Chase had a really big game together. That connection has become very fun to watch. And the Bengals, I mean, their defense held up, and their offense is playing really well. So yeah, I mean, I think the worst thing about that team right now might be their offensive line, but other than that, I mean, the Bengals just flat out dominated the Ravens and stopped them from doing everything, and then they scored 41 points on them. So the Bengals this week were very, very good. The Raiders had another fantastic game this week. Second week in a row without John Gruden there. Derek Carr has been playing amazing football. Last week they shut down the Broncos, and then this week to the Eagles. The Eagles couldn't do much of anything. So I mean, I think the Raiders are finally in a place where they could be a legit team and they're not going to be struggling every single week. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see the Raiders, I guess, finally living up to the full potential of the talent that they have, because maybe not just coaching wise, John Gruden was holding them back. And the last couple of weeks have just shown that, they can compete and they can put up points. So yeah, the Raiders are looking real good. Tom Brady Tom Brady throwing for his 600 touchdown pass, the only person to ever do that. That obviously that deserves a lot of credit. That's really awesome to see. I mean, he's been in the league for a million years, but it's still really cool to see a guy that, puts in all the hard work, shows up to work. I mean, he puts in all the work. His life literally revolves around football. Throws for 600 yards. I mean, it's work's paying off. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see that happen. This is just me being sarcastic, but also really happened at the same time. There was no London game this week because, God, that 2 weeks in a row of London games was... First week was fun. Second week was like, all right, this is not really fun anymore. And then, no London game. That was really cool. Daniel Jones had an Odell-type catch against the Panthers. That was quite fun to see. I was a fan of that play. And like I was talking about the Chiefs earlier, there was one positive that came from that game. They only held Derrick Henry to 86 yards. I mean, they couldn't stop the pass to save their lives, but they sold out, stopped the run, held Derrick Henry to, I think, his lowest total of the year. So that's a plus. Nick Bolton is good. I think he's a great, run defender. His coverage isn't necessarily the best, but as a run defender, he's really good. Held Derrick Henry at 86 yards, but it really didn't matter because, Ryan Tannehill was out there looking like freaking Tom Brady, John Elway, and Joe Montana, just throwing for yards after yards after yards. He completed his first 11 passes, but I guess if we had a bright spot, we'd have to look at the Chiefs holding Derrick Henry to 86 yards. The Patriots trick plays and dominating the Jets was kind of entertaining to see. I think the Patriots were just out there to, toy with the Jets and just wanted to. Bill Belichick was like, I don't care who we're playing. We're putting up as many points as we want. Like, they showed no remorse. They just kept scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring. Mac Jones looked good. So, yeah, the Patriots finally had a really good win this year. Something they had been really lacking. And then the last thing I have for the good this week is the Lions, man. They brought everything. They brought trick plays. They brought, fake punts. They brought onside kicks. They were going forward on fourth down. I mean, they fell short, but, that team, and I think Jared Goff mainly really wanted to win that game, and I think Dan Campbell was really trying to help, the Lions win that game, mainly for Jared Goff. I mean, they tried everything. Hell, they had the lead at the end of the third quarter, but after the Rams got going, it was hard to stop them, but it was really cool to see, the Lions bringing out every stop. They might be the best winless team in NFL history, man. They are tough to beat. They just have to get that. They'll get that win. But I was off the Dan Campbell toughness bandwagon after last week, but I think I'm back on it after this week, pulling out all the stops, all the tricks. I mean, they were 0-6. It was Jared Goff's return, and yeah, they were really trying hard to get that win, and probably for Jared Goff mainly. And then if we look at the player of the week, I didn't see any. There was 3 performers. So my 2 honorable mentions are Joe Burrow and Dionys Johnson. Joe Burrow threw for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Did have an interception, but you know, them flat out dominating the Ravens was really cool. And Joe Burrow, I think, probably having his best game as a pro. And that's saying something because I think he's been playing fantastic football since last year when he had no offensive line, no help. I think Joe Burrow has been playing really well his entire time in the NFL. And then Dionys Johnson in his first career start on Thursday Night Football against the Broncos just going off. That dude rushed for like 146 yards. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, he had a monster game with Chubb and Hunt out. That was really cool to see, really fun to watch. And yeah, I got to give the Browns credit. They can scout out some running back talent. So yeah, their talent at the running back position is going to be in good hands for quite a while. But the player of the week, Ja'Marr Chase. Like, this dude is a rookie, and he's already becoming a top receiver in football right now. Like, I don't want to, rank him right here because I haven't put much thought into it, but, he's definitely the top receiver on his team, and he's a rookie. He had, like, over 200 yards, was making plays, making big plays, and I'm a fan of Ja'Marr Chase. I'm a fan of the Bengals. I really like what they're doing this year. They have a chance to make the playoffs, and if they continue to play like this, they may not go deep into the playoffs, but they're going to be a tough team and a nuisance to play against, the rest of the year. And even if they start struggling a little bit, I still think, those wins early in the season, against the Ravens specifically, is really going to ruin the Ravens' chances of a deep playoff push because maybe they'll have to play on the wild card weekend now instead of getting that only bye that teams get. So, the Ravens and the Bengals, may not make a deep playoff run, but they're not going to make it easy for any team that they're playing this year. And then when you have somebody like Ja'Marr Chase, who is a rookie and is doing everything right, he's winning Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, I have Ja'Marr Chase as my player of the week.